The message came through at 800 hours ship time. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the battlecruiser Defiant, watching the alien transmission play on the main screen. The creature speaking looked like a cross between a lizard and a spider, with too many eyes and a voice that sounded like grinding metal. "People of Earth," the alien said, "we are General Zexkar of the Catherian hegemony. After 3 years of war, we wish to make peace. We invite your leaders to meet us at the neutral station Kepler 442. Come with minimal weapons as a sign of good faith. We will discuss terms that benefit both our peoples." Jake turned to his communications officer. "How many times has this been broadcast?" "Every human ship in colony has received it, sir. The aliens are flooding all channels." Captain Lisa Kane entered the bridge, her diplomatic uniform crisp despite the early hour. She had been Earth's top negotiator before the war started. Now she handled the few times when talking might work better than shooting. "What do you think, Lisa?" Jake asked. She studied the frozen image of the alien general. "It could be real. They've taken heavy losses in the Outer Rim. Maybe they want to cut their losses." Commander Ryan Clark looked up from his intelligence station. "Sir, we're picking up massive fleet movements in the Catherian sectors. At least 40 ships heading toward Kepler 442. 40 ships for a peace talk?" Jake raised an eyebrow. "That's what worries me," Ryan said. "And there's something else. We intercepted some of their communications. They keep using a phrase that translates to final harvest." Lisa frowned. "That doesn't sound like peace talk language." Dr. Amanda Foster joined them from the science station. She was Earth's best expert on alien biology, and she had studied every species in the Catherian hegemony. "I've been analyzing their biosignatures from previous encounters. When Catherians are planning something peaceful, they release certain pheromones. When they're hunting, it's completely different." "And?" Jake prompted. "The readings from this transmission show hunting pheromones. Lots of them." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what that meant. The aliens weren't planning peace. They were planning a trap, so what do we do? Lisa asked. "If we refuse, they'll say we don't want peace. If we go, we might be walking into an ambush." Jake smiled grimly. "We go, but not the way they expect." He called up Colonel Ben Harris on the comm system. Ben led Earth's Special Operations Forces, the men and women who did the jobs too dangerous for regular troops. "Ben, I need you to pick your best people. We're going on a diplomatic mission." Ben's laugh came through clearly. "Diplomatic mission, sir? With the Catherians?" "That's right. But this diplomatic mission needs to be ready for anything. Pick Marines who can pass for diplomats, scientists, and support staff. Full battle gear, but it needs to be hidden." "How many?" 300. 100 per ship. Ships?" Jake looked at Lisa. "We're taking 3 vessels. The Harmony, Concordia, and Unity. At least that's what they'll look like." Lisa caught on quickly. "Disguised warships? Exactly. The aliens want us to come with minimal weapons. They didn't say anything about minimal crews." Over the next week, preparations began in secret. The 3 ships chosen were actually combat vessels from Earth's newest class of warships. Teams of engineers worked around the clock to install fake hull plating that would hide their true nature. The Harmony was really the assault carrier Retribution, capable of launching fighters and carrying heavy weapons. The Concordia was the battlecruiser Vengeance, armed with the latest plasma cannons. The Unity was the stealth destroyer Fury, equipped with experimental weapons that the aliens had never seen. Colonel Harris selected his teams carefully. Sergeant Major Tony Rodriguez was an expert in close combat and alien physiology. Lieutenant Kelly Brooks specialized in electronic warfare. Each diplomat was actually a trained warrior with years of experience fighting the Catherian hegemony. Dr. Foster worked with the medical teams to prepare special weapons. She had discovered that many alien species had specific weaknesses that humans could exploit. Sonic weapons would disable species that used echolocation. Electromagnetic pulses could disrupt crystalline-based life forms. She even prepared biological agents that would affect alien immune systems without harming humans. Commander Clark set up hidden spy equipment throughout all 3 ships. If the aliens tried to scan them, they would see what appeared to be diplomatic vessels with minimal weapons and small crews. The reality would be very different. Captain Kane practiced her role as chief negotiator, but she also reviewed her military training. Before becoming a diplomat, she had been a tactical officer with 12 years of combat experience. If talking failed, she knew how to fight. Admiral Morrison coordinated with Earth's main fleet. The 3 diplomatic ships would not go alone. A full battle group would follow at a safe distance, hidden by stealth technology that the aliens didn't know humans possessed. The night before departure, Jake stood in his quarters looking at Earth through the viewport. The planet looked peaceful from space, but he knew that millions of people were counting on the success of this mission. His door chimed. Lisa entered looking worried. "Jake, are you sure about this? If we're wrong, if they really want peace, then we'll make peace," he said. "But if we're right, if this is a trap, then we'll be ready." 300 people against an entire alien fleet. Jake smiled. "Lisa, you've been a diplomat too long. You've forgotten something important about humans." "What's that?" "We're really good at killing things that try to kill us first." The next morning, the 3 ships departed Earth. To anyone watching, they looked like exactly what they were supposed to be. Diplomatic vessels carrying Earth's peace delegation to meet with the Catherian hegemony. But hidden beneath false hull plating and disguised uniforms, humanity's most dangerous warriors prepared for what they suspected would be the fight of their lives. They were going to talk peace, but they had brought enough weapons to start a war. As the ships jumped to hyperspace, Admiral Morrison sent a final message to Earth Defense Command. "Package delivered. Harvest season begins now." The aliens wanted to hunt humans. They were about to learn that humans had been hunting much longer than they had. The jump to hyperspace took 18 hours. When the 3 human ships dropped back into normal space near Kepler 442, Captain Lisa Kane felt her stomach drop. The neutral space station wasn't a station at all. It was alive. "My God," whispered Dr. Amanda Foster from the science station. "It's a Vorthak bioship, one of the biggest I've ever seen." The creature floating in space was the size of a small moon. Its surface pulsed with veins of light, and massive tentacles drifted around its body like the arms of a giant jellyfish. Along its surface, what looked like docking bays opened and closed like breathing holes. "How many ships?" asked Admiral Jake Morrison over the comm from his hidden position with the main fleet. Commander Ryan Clark ran his scanners. "I count 67 alien vessels, all combat types. They're arranged in a sphere around the bioship." Lisa kept her voice calm even though her heart was racing. "Well, gentlemen, I think we have our answer about their peaceful intentions." Lieutenant Colonel Steve Martinez, disguised as Lisa's security chief, moved closer to her chair. "Ma'am, my sensors are picking up energy barriers forming around our ships. They're trying to trap us. Let them," Lisa said quietly. "Ryan, are you recording everything?" "Yes, ma'am. Full tactical data is being transmitted to the Admiral's fleet." A new voice came through the communication system. It was the same grinding metal sound they had heard in the original message, but now it sounded pleased, almost hungry. "Human vessels, this is General Zexkar. Welcome to our meeting place. Please dock at the designated ports. Our bioship will guide you in." Long tentacles reached out toward the human ships. Lisa noticed that they moved with purpose like arms grabbing prey. "Acknowledged, General," Lisa replied. "We're honored to be here." As their ships were pulled into the docking bays, Lisa's team got their first close look at the interior of a Vorthak bioship. The walls were pink and wet, covered with what looked like nerve endings. The air smelled like copper and decay. Colonel Ben Harris, wearing the uniform of a diplomatic aide, whispered into his hidden communicator. "All teams were inside the belly of the beast, literally. Stay sharp." The docking bay sealed behind them with a wet, sucking sound. Immediately, Lisa's instruments detected the activation of energy fields that would prevent their ships from leaving. "Captain Kane," came General Zexkar's voice over the internal systems. "Please bring your delegation to the Great Chamber. We have much to discuss." Lisa led her team through corridors that pulsed like arteries. The walls were warm to the touch and seemed to watch them as they passed. Hidden among her diplomatic staff were Colonel Harris's best warriors, each one carrying concealed weapons designed specifically for the aliens they might face. The Great Chamber was enormous. The ceiling stretched up until it disappeared in darkness. Around the circular room sat representatives of all 12 species in the Catherian hegemony. Lisa had studied them, but seeing them in person was different. The Vorthak looked like giant praying mantises, but with too many arms and eyes that never blinked. The Nephrites were crystalline beings that glowed with their own light and gave off dangerous radiation. The Skrull resembled bats the size of humans, hanging upside down from perches around the room. In the center sat General Zexkar himself. Up close, he was even more frightening than in the video message. His scales were black with red edges, and when he smiled, Lisa could see rows of sharp teeth. "Captain Kane," the general said, rising from his throne. "Welcome. I trust your journey was comfortable." "Very much so, General. We're ready to discuss peace between our peoples." The general's smile grew wider. "Oh, we will discuss your future. That I promise you." Dr. Foster was running discrete bioscans on all the alien species present. What she found made her blood run cold. Every single alien in the room was showing the same biological signs: heightened heart rates, increased hormone production, and pheromone releases that indicated extreme excitement. These weren't diplomats preparing for negotiations. These were predators preparing for a kill. She caught Colonel Harris's eye and made a subtle hand signal. He nodded slightly and began positioning his people around the room. To the aliens, it looked like humans were simply taking their places for the ceremony. In reality, Earth's deadliest warriors were setting up for a battle. "General," Lisa said, taking her seat at the negotiating table, "perhaps we should begin with the basics. What terms are you proposing?" General Zexkar's eyes gleamed. "Simple terms, Captain. Complete human surrender. Your species will serve the hegemony as workers. Your planets will become breeding farms to ensure a steady supply of human labor for our empire." The room fell silent except for the wet, breathing sounds of the bioship around them. Lisa felt anger building in her chest, but she kept her voice level. "I'm afraid those terms are unacceptable. General, I don't think you understand your position. Human." The general gestured with one clawed hand, and energy barriers activated throughout the chamber. "Your ships are trapped. Your weapons are minimal. You are surrounded by the most powerful military force in this galaxy." Lisa looked around at the dozens of alien warriors surrounding her small team. Then she smiled. "General, I think you're the one who doesn't understand our position." She touched a button on her communicator, and Admiral Morrison's voice filled the chamber. "Captain Kane, this is Admiral Morrison. We have 43 ships in position and ready to engage. All alien vessels are targeted." The general's expression changed from confidence to confusion. "Impossible. Our sensors detected only 3 lightly armed diplomatic vessels." "Your sensors detected what we wanted them to detect," Lisa said, standing up from the table. "Did you really think we would come to a peace negotiation without checking your backgrounds first? We know what the phrase final harvest means in your language." Around the room, her diplomatic staff were quietly moving into combat positions. The aliens were starting to notice, but they still didn't understand what was happening. Dr. Foster activated her hidden scanners and began transmitting detailed biological data about every species in the room to Colonel Harris's team. Each warrior would know exactly how to kill the aliens they faced. "General," Lisa continued, "you made one critical mistake. You assumed that because humans want peace, we're not prepared for war. You thought that because we agreed to your terms for this meeting, we actually trusted you." The general's confusion was turning to anger. "You dare to threaten the Catherian hegemony?" "We're not threatening you, General," Lisa said calmly. "We're about to educate you. You see, humans have been fighting for thousands of years. We've learned that sometimes the only way to achieve peace is to make war too costly for the other side." She looked directly into his multiple eyes. "Class is now in session." General Zexkar's roar echoed through the great chamber. The sound was like metal tearing apart, and it seemed to be a signal. All around the room, alien warriors rose from their positions and weapons appeared in their hands. "Kill them all," the general screamed. "The harvest begins now." But Lisa Kane was already moving. The moment the general opened his mouth, she dove behind the negotiating table and shouted into her communicator, "Execute Protocol 7. All teams go hot!" Outside the bioship, the 3 human vessels suddenly came alive. False hull plating exploded away like shed skin, revealing the true warships underneath. The Harmony became the assault carrier Retribution, its missile bays opening like the petals of a deadly flower. The Concordia transformed into the battlecruiser Vengeance, plasma cannons powering up with a blue glow that lit up the docking bay. The Unity shed its disguise to become the destroyer Fury, its experimental weapons humming with barely contained energy. Inside the great chamber, Colonel Ben Harris threw off his diplomatic jacket to reveal full combat armor underneath. Around the room, 99 other diplomats did the same. In seconds, the chamber was filled with Earth's most elite warriors, each one armed with weapons designed to kill the specific alien species they faced. Nephrites. Electromagnetic pulse. Harris shouted. Lieutenant Kelly Brooks activated devices that sent waves of energy through the crystalline beings. Their internal structures, which depended on precise electromagnetic fields, began to crack and shatter. 3 of the glowing aliens collapsed immediately, their light fading as they died. Scrawl. Sonic barrage. Sergeant Major Tony Rodriguez and his team activated high-frequency sound generators. The bat-like aliens, who used echolocation to navigate, screamed in agony as their sensitive hearing was overloaded. They fell from their perches, crashing to the floor with their hands over their ears. The Vorthak warriors charged forward with their multiple arms swinging blade weapons. But Dr. Amanda Foster had prepared for this too. "Biological weapon deploy now," she called out. Small devices scattered throughout the chamber released what looked like ordinary human bacteria, but these microorganisms had been specially modified. They attacked the Vorthak immune system in ways their bodies had never encountered before. Within seconds, the giant insect-like warriors began stumbling, as their own biology turned against them. General Zexkar watched in horror as his elite forces fell to human weapons they had never seen before. "Impossible," he snarled. "You came with minimal arms." Lisa Kane stood up from behind the table, a plasma rifle in her hands. "We came with minimal visible arms, General. There's a difference." Outside the bioship, the space battle was already turning into a massacre. Admiral Jake Morrison's hidden fleet had surrounded the alien ships before they even knew humans were there. The dreadnought Indomitable dropped its stealth field directly above the bioship. Its main guns, weapons that could crack planets, began charging with a sound like thunder. "This is Admiral Morrison to all Catherian vessels." Jake's voice boomed across the communication channels. "You are surrounded and outgunned. Surrender now or be destroyed." General Zexkar heard the transmission and his scales turned pale. "How many ships do you have?" "Enough," Lisa replied, then spoke into her communicator. "Admiral, you may begin the demonstration." The Indomitable fired a single shot from its main gun. The beam of pure energy struck one of the larger Catherian cruisers and vaporized it completely. The explosion lit up space for millions of kilometers. "That was one shot from one ship," Lisa said calmly. "We have 42 more ships out there, all with similar weapons. Would you like another demonstration?" But the general wasn't listening. He was staring at the screen showing the space battle outside. What he saw there broke something in his mind. The human ships weren't just winning. They were hunting. Each alien vessel that tried to run was caught by faster human ships. Each alien ship that tried to fight was destroyed by weapons more advanced than anything the Catherian hegemony possessed. The destroyer Fury had engaged 3 alien frigates at once. Its experimental gravity weapons twisted space around the enemy ships, crushing them like tin cans. The battlecruiser Vengeance was carving through a squadron of Catherian fighters with plasma beams that moved too fast for the aliens to dodge. "How?" the general whispered. "Your species is young. You've only been in space for a few centuries." Colonel Harris stepped forward, his armor splattered with alien blood. Around him, his Marines were finishing off the last of the alien guards. "General, you made a mistake that older species have made before. You thought that being young meant being weak. You thought that because we wanted peace, we weren't good at war." Dr. Foster joined them, her scanning equipment still active. "What you didn't understand is that humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years before we ever met you. We've had practice." Commander Ryan Clark's voice came through the communication system from his ship. "Captain, we've gained access to the bioship's nervous system. The virus programs are spreading through its brain. We can control it now." Lisa smiled grimly. The virus programs had been hidden in the diplomatic data they had transmitted when they first arrived. While the aliens thought they were trapping human ships, human computer viruses were taking control of the bioship's brain. The living walls around them began to convulse. The bioship was dying and it was in agony. General Zexkar fell to his knees. "Please," he begged. "We surrender. Call off your attack." "Too late for that," Lisa said. "You see, General, you invited us here to harvest us. You planned to make us your slaves. You were going to turn Earth into a breeding farm." She walked closer to the alien leader, her rifle trained on his head. "But here's what you didn't know about humans. We don't just fight back when we're attacked. We make sure that anyone who attacks us regrets it so much that they never try again." Outside, the last Catherian ship exploded in a ball of fire. The alien fleet was gone. "Steve, how long until this bioship dies completely?" Lisa asked Lieutenant Colonel Martinez. Dr. Foster estimates another 10 minutes before total nervous system failure. Good. That gives us time to get what we need. She turned to the general. You're going to give us complete intelligence about every Catherian world, every military base, every fleet position. You're going to tell us everything. And if I refuse? Lisa's smile was colder than space. Then you die here with your ship. But if you cooperate, you get to live long enough to carry a message back to your people. The general looked around at his dead warriors, at the dying ship, at the human soldiers who had destroyed everything he thought he knew about warfare. What message? That peace was always an option, Lisa said. But you chose war instead. Now you get to live with the consequences. The bioship shuddered around them as its death approached, but the humans were already preparing to leave, their mission accomplished. They had come for peace talks. Instead, they had delivered a lesson that the galaxy would never forget. The bioship was dying around them, but General Zexikar was still alive and Captain Lisa Kane needed information. The Great Chamber had become a battlefield littered with alien corpses, but the real war was just beginning. Colonel Harris, secure the general. We need him conscious for questioning, Lisa ordered. Ben Harris grabbed the alien leader and forced him into a chair. The general's scales had turned gray with shock, and his multiple eyes darted around the room as if looking for help that would never come. Dr. Amanda Foster was working frantically at her portable computer. Lisa, the biological weapon is spreading through the ship's circulatory system. Every Catherian on board will be infected within the hour. Will it kill them? Not immediately, but it will make them very sick and very cooperative. It affects the part of their brain that controls aggression. Lisa nodded. That was exactly what they needed. Ryan, status report on the space battle. Commander Clark's voice crackled through the communication system. All Catherian ships destroyed or disabled. Admiral Morrison's fleet is securing the area. We have prisoners from 12 ships that survived. Good. We'll need to interrogate them too. Lieutenant Colonel Steve Martinez was studying the bioship's structure on his scanner. Captain, this thing is more than just a ship. It's a mobile command center. The data stored in its brain could tell us everything about Catherian military operations. Lisa turned to General Zexikar. The alien leader was breathing heavily, his chest rising and falling like a broken machine. General, you have a choice. You can cooperate with us and live to see your homeworld again, or you can stay here and die with your ship. The general's voice was weak but still defiant. You cannot threaten the entire hegemony. We have thousands of ships, millions of warriors. Had, Lisa corrected. You had thousands of ships. After today, you'll have considerably fewer. She gestured to Colonel Harris, who activated a holographic display showing the space around the bioship. The display was filled with floating debris that had once been Catherian warships. Your invincible fleet lasted exactly 17 minutes against human weapons. How long do you think your homeworlds will last? Dr. Foster approached with a medical scanner. General, I'm detecting severe damage to your nervous system from the biological weapon. If you don't receive treatment soon, you'll suffer permanent brain damage. The alien looked at her with hatred. You would poison me and then offer to heal me? We would prefer not to poison you at all, Lisa said calmly. But you brought us here to kill us. We simply came better prepared than you expected. The bioship shuddered again, more violently this time. The walls around them were turning darker and the air was getting harder to breathe. Time's running out, General, Colonel Harris said. This ship dies in about 5 minutes. Are you coming with us or staying here? Sergeant Major Tony Rodriguez was monitoring communications from the human fleet. Captain, Admiral Morrison reports that our stealth ships have located 3 more Catherian fleets moving toward our position. Lisa smiled. Perfect. Tell the Admiral to let them come. After they see what happened to this fleet, they might be more willing to discuss actual peace terms. General Zexikar looked up at her with something like fear in his eyes. You would fight 3 fleets? General, we just destroyed your best fleet with 3 disguised ships and a handful of Marines. Do you really think 3 more fleets will make a difference? Dr. Foster checked her scanner again. Lisa, we need to go. The bioship's death throes are releasing toxic gases. Even our breathing filters won't protect us much longer. Right, General, last chance. Come with us or die here. The alien leader looked around the chamber at his dead warriors, at the dying ship, at the humans who had turned his perfect trap into his worst nightmare. I will come, he whispered. Colonel Harris hauled the general to his feet and began moving toward the exit. The human team moved efficiently through the dying corridors of the bioship, their path lit by emergency lighting that flickered like a dying heart. Behind them, the great chamber began to collapse as the ship's internal structure failed. The walls that had seemed so threatening an hour ago were now just rotting flesh falling apart. They reached the docking bay just as the human ships were preparing to leave. The Retribution's launch bay was open and Marines were helping load equipment and prisoners from the other ships. "All teams aboard," Harris called out. "Bioship is going critical." As their ship pulled away from the dying creature, Lisa stood on the bridge watching the bioship's final moments. The massive organism was curled up like a dying animal, its tentacles wrapped around its body in agony. "It's actually kind of sad," Dr. Foster said quietly. "That thing was probably thousands of years old." "It chose the wrong species to hunt," Lisa replied. "Actions have consequences." Admiral Morrison's voice came through the communication system. "Captain Kane, we have 3 Catherian fleets approaching. Estimated arrival in 2 hours. They're demanding to know what happened here." Lisa looked at General Zexkar, who was secured in a medical restraint chair. The biological weapon was taking effect, and his aggressive behavior was being replaced by something like cooperation. "Tell them they can speak to their general when they arrive, but make sure they know that any aggressive moves will result in the same fate as this fleet." The general stirred weakly. "My people, they will want revenge for this." "Your people can have revenge or they can have survival," Lisa said, "but they can't have both. We tried to make peace with you. You turned it into war. Now you get to live with what war against humans actually means." Dr. Foster was reviewing the data they had collected from the bioship's brain before it died. "Lisa, this is incredible. We have complete fleet positions, military strengths, even political structures for the entire Catherian hegemony. And they're not as strong as they pretended to be. This was actually most of their advanced fleet. What's left is mostly older ships and garrison forces." Lisa nodded. That matched what she had suspected. The aliens had gambled everything on this trap, believing that capturing Earth's leaders would end human resistance. "Ryan, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we have complete intelligence on Catherian military capabilities. Also tell them that we're about to have visitors and they should prepare the main fleet for possible action." Commander Clark began transmitting the data. The information they had gathered would change the entire balance of power in this sector of the galaxy. Through the viewports, they could see the bioship's final explosion. The creature that had been designed to be humanity's tomb became a funeral pyre visible across 3-star systems. General Zexkar watched his command ship die and finally understood the magnitude of his mistake. Humans hadn't come to surrender. They had come to send a message, and that message was burning bright enough for the entire galaxy to see. 2 hours later, the 3 Catherian fleets arrived to find nothing but debris and death. Captain Lisa Kane watched from the bridge of the Retribution as nearly 200 alien ships dropped out of hyperspace and immediately began scanning the wreckage. "They're hailing us," Commander Ryan Clark reported. "Put them through." The main screen filled with the image of another Catherian general, this one older and more scarred than Zexkar. His scales were white with age and his eyes held the wisdom of someone who had seen many battles. "I am General Thexmore of the Catherian Third Fleet. What happened here?" Lisa gestured for General Zexkar to be brought to the screen. The captured alien looked terrible. Dr. Amanda Foster's biological weapon had left him weak and disoriented but alive. "General Thexmore," Zexkar said weakly. "The humans, they were ready for us. They knew it was a trap." The old general's expression darkened. "Where is your fleet, Zexkar?" "Gone, all gone. The bioship is dead. Everything is gone." Thexmore looked from his defeated colleague to Lisa. "Captain Kane, I presume?" "That's correct, General. We met with General Zexkar to discuss peace terms. Unfortunately, he had other plans." "And you destroyed an entire fleet in response?" Lisa's voice remained calm and professional. "We defended ourselves against an unprovoked attack. Your general invited us here under false pretenses with the intention of enslaving our entire species. We simply came better prepared than he expected." General Thexmore was quiet for a long moment, studying the debris field around his ships. The wreckage of 67 Catherian warships drifted in space like a graveyard of metal and dreams. "How many ships did you lose, Captain?" "None." "How many casualties?" 3 wounded, none killed." The alien general's face went pale. You destroyed our most advanced fleet without losing a single ship? We told you we came prepared, General. Your people seem to have difficulty understanding what that means. Admiral Jake Morrison's voice came through the communication system. Captain Kane, should I inform the General about our main fleet? Lisa smiled. Please do, Admiral. The space around the Catherian ships began to shimmer as dozens of human vessels dropped their stealth fields. Dreadnoughts, carriers, destroyers, and cruisers appeared like ghosts materializing from the void. Within seconds, the three Catherian fleets found themselves surrounded by the most powerful military force Earth had ever assembled. General Thexmore stared at the display in shock. How many ships? Enough, Lisa replied. General, you now have the same choice your colleague had. You can attack us and share his fate, or you can listen to what we have to say. Dr. Foster stepped forward. General, we've analyzed your biological responses. You're afraid. That's good. Fear means you're smart enough to recognize a superior force when you see one. Colonel Ben Harris moved to stand beside Lisa. His armor still showed stains from the battle in the bioship, a reminder of what happened to those who underestimated humans. General Thexmore, Lisa continued, we're going to explain something to you. When we received your invitation to peace talks, we wanted to believe it was genuine. We hoped that after 3 years of war, both sides were ready to find a better way. She gestured to the debris field. But you weren't interested in peace. You were interested in conquest. You thought you could trick us into surrendering by pretending to want negotiations. General Thexmore found his voice. The Catherian hegemony does not surrender to inferior species. Lisa laughed, but there was no humor in it. Inferior? General, look around you. Your inferior enemy just destroyed your best fleet with 3 ships. Your inferior enemy is now holding your remaining fleets at gunpoint with weapons you've never seen before. Lieutenant Colonel Steve Martinez stepped forward with a data pad. General, we've also analyzed the intelligence we recovered from the bioship. Would you like to know what we found? The alien remained silent, but Lisa could see the fear growing in his eyes. We found that the Catherian hegemony isn't nearly as strong as you pretend to be. What we destroyed today represented nearly 40% of your advanced combat ships. The rest of your forces are outdated and scattered across dozens of systems. Dr. Foster added, we also found biological data on every species in your hegemony. We now know exactly how to create weapons that will specifically target each of your member races. General Thexmore's composure finally cracked. What do you want? Lisa walked closer to the screen. We want what we originally came here for, General. Peace. But not the kind of peace your colleague offered. Real peace. Terms? First, the Catherian hegemony will withdraw from all human space immediately. Second, you will pay reparations for the colonies you destroyed during this war. Third, you will release all human prisoners and return all stolen technology. The general's scales darkened with anger. Impossible. The Hegemony Council will never agree to such terms. Admiral Morrison's voice cut through the communication. General, perhaps I should clarify our position. Captain Kane is being diplomatic. Let me be more direct. The main screen switched to show Jake Morrison on the bridge of the Indomitable. Behind him, displays showed targeting information for every Catherian ship present. General, this is not a negotiation. This is us telling you how things are going to be from now on. Your species made the mistake of trying to enslave humanity. Now you're going to learn what humans do to slavers. He leaned forward, his expression deadly serious. You have 2 choices. Accept our terms and live, or reject them and join your friends in the debris field. You have 30 seconds to decide. The silence stretched across space like a held breath. General Thexmore looked at his tactical displays, at the human ships surrounding his fleets, at the wreckage of what had been the pride of the Catherian military. I accept your terms, he said finally. Lisa nodded. Wise choice, General. You'll transmit complete surrender terms to the Hegemony Council. You'll also include recordings of this battle so they understand what happens to those who threaten humanity. And if the Council refuses, Lisa's smile was as cold as the space around them. Then we'll visit each of your worlds personally to explain our position. Starting with your capital, Dr. Foster stepped forward with her medical scanner. General, there's one more thing. We've prepared biological agents that are specifically designed to target Catherian physiology. These agents are now loaded in special weapons throughout our fleet. The alien general's eyes widened with horror. You would commit genocide? We would defend our species, Lisa corrected. Just as you tried to enslave ours. The difference is, we're better at it than you are. Colonel Harris activated a holographic display showing human fleet positions throughout known space. General, this is just one of our battle groups. We have 12 more just like it, and they're all moving toward Catherian space as we speak. General Thexmore stared at the display, finally understanding the full scope of what his people had awakened. They hadn't just picked a fight with humans. They had started a war with the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The peace treaty was never about peace, was it? He asked quietly. Lisa shook her head. No, General. It was about you underestimating us. You thought young species meant weak species. You thought diplomatic species meant defenseless species. She looked directly into his eyes through the screen. You were wrong on both counts. Humans learned to fight before we learned to walk. We just prefer talking because it's more efficient than killing. But when talking fails, she gestured to the debris field around them. Well, you can see the results. General Zexikar, still weak from the biological weapon, spoke up from his restraint chair. Thexmore, do not underestimate them as I did. They are not like the other young species. They are something new, something dangerous. Lisa turned to address both generals. We are something old, actually. We are what happens when a species spends thousands of years fighting itself, and finally turns that experience outward. Admiral Morrison cut back into the communication. Generals, we're sending you home with a message for your council. The message is simple. Humanity tried peace. You chose war. Now you live with the consequences. As the human ships began to withdraw, Lisa gave one final order. General Thexmore, you have 72 hours to begin implementing our terms. Any Catherian ship found in human space after that deadline will be destroyed without warning. The screen went dark, leaving the 3 Catherian fleets alone with the wreckage of their ambitions. On the bridge of the Retribution, Lisa Kane looked out at the stars and allowed herself a small smile. They had come to make peace, but they had brought weapons anyway. Sometimes that made all the difference.